A Brew heist.
This video
Wait, another heist, but by Brew?
was sponsored by the
How identical twins stole 7
authentic military online
million
game, War Thunder.
of jewelry in broad daylight.
Imagine this. It's a scene out of Ocean's 11. A group
Right?
of criminals have pulled off the perfect heist. Millions are stolen from the bank. The vault is empty, and no one even got a look at the masterminds behind the robbery. Left without much more than a height and a vague description of a masked culprit, authorities are
5'8".
stumped. But a breakthrough is made when investigators discover a piece of DNA evidence, a definitive proof that will help police prove who was at the scene of the crime. The only problem? It matches more than one person.
The double. The heist.
January 25th, 2009. The Berlin police had found themselves in a situation with high stakes. In the early hours of the morning, 3 masked individuals had broken into the luxury department store Kaufhaus des Westens, or KaDeWe. And as far as store swindles go, this was definitely no
Ooh.
run-of-the-mill convenience store heist. KaDeWe is the second
This is a restaurant?
largest department store in Europe.
Oh. I just saw the food and it made me hungry.
Just behind the famous Harrods in London,
It's kind of a nice looking place. Kind of reminds me of like the Budapest, but a little more mundane and like modern.
largest department store in Europe, just behind the famous Harrods in London,
Ooh,
England.
that looks
Since its
cool.
opening in 1907, the
That's
store, when operational, has been catering to customers seeking high-end merchandise, offering luxury goods and designer brands. As such, the store has motion detectors included in their security system to keep the store and its luxurious products safe, which the thieves completely evaded. The 3 culprits had climbed up to the roof, lowering themselves into the main hall by rappelling through a skylight into the shopping center's main hall into the men's department. Once
Naturally.
there, the robbers got to business. The group managed to pry open display cases and steal roughly 6.8 million euros worth of jewelry and luxury watches before escaping out into the city, evading not just the security system again, but also the police. They hadn't tripped the alarm, which meant that the security staff didn't check the camera system until it was too late. The masks
Damn.
and gloves they wore meant
Oh,
that the
again.
CCTV footage was useless to identify any
No
of the
alarms
culprits.
tripped again.
But as much as it sounds
Damn.
like the perfect crime, they had made a mistake. Police investigation turned up 2 pieces of evidence, the rope ladder and a rubber
Oh, no.
glove discarded next to it.
Oh no!
Specifically, a rubber glove that
That's bad.
yielded a drop of sweat. With DNA evidence.
Oh, that's bad.
Yet the DNA analysis only further confused things when the police processed the genetic material from the glove and found that it matched not 1, but 2 individuals.
The double.
A pair of brothers named Hassan and Abbas O. But even with the inconsistency, police moved quickly. After a couple of weeks, they arrested the 2 brothers and brought them in,
Right.
only to be left with a conundrum. Hassan and Abbas were identical twins. Their DNA were the same. Which one had committed the crime? Was it one or both of them? And how would they be able to tell?
True. That's interesting. That's a.
Before we
Oh,
get into
that's
the
giving me the Prestige vibes with was it Michael McCain and Christian Bale and
a game feels
Hugh Jackman,
like a highly immersive combat experience.
but it's a heist. Honestly, the Prestige feels like a heist movie to me too, though. The other strays stole his limelight, and then the other one stole his life, and then the other one stole his life.
And how you
Jeezer, that is ultimate stakes, no?
can customize
That's a goddamn heist right there.
every single detail, like different
That's crazy.
camouflages and markings based on the historical period. So you can either mimic a specific historical vehicle during combat, or create your own unique design. Best of all, it's free. Play now on PC, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and even previous console generations.
Even on
War Thunder
Linux.
is now gifting a massive free bonus
Oh,
pack for new
wow.
players across all platforms, and users that haven't played within the last 6 months can benefit too if you click to play through our link. The pack includes multiple premium vehicles, a premium account, an exclusive 3D decorator for your
Exclusive!
vehicles, and much more, but only for a limited time. Click our link in the description box to play War Thunder for free on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox today.
Oh, I signed up 10 times.
Identical twins carrying out the perfect crime. Sounds like something straight out of a movie. And while some may
True.
imagine an episode of CSI with a pair of twins conspiring to carry out the perfect crime, it dates back earlier than you might
CSI.
expect. 1952, American brothers Charles and George Finn purchased a C-46 aircraft from the Bakersfield School District, which just happened to have decommissioned airplanes lying around, I guess, intending to use it as a cargo plane and start their own airline. But they ran into more than a few problems. First, in order to get the plane registered in their name, they were bounced back and forth between the Civil Aeronautics Authority and the Federal Security Agency. After they finally got the license, they were faced with expensive repairs to the aircraft, which had been sitting in the schoolyard unused for 6 years. Next, during those years, the runway where it was stored had been shortened, and they almost didn't have space for takeoff. The twins took a gamble and were able to fly the plane out, parking it with International Airports
Said,
Incorporated,
"Fuck it.
a company who had agreed
Let's
to
go
lease
for
the
it."
plane. But then,
Jeez.
the brothers ran into trouble again. The FBI started asking questions, following the twins around for 8 months. Where did you buy that plane? How did you fly it away? How did you find out about it? What's your purpose? According to a lawsuit filed by the federal
Sounded
government,
fun.
the school district didn't actually have the authority to sell the plane, as it was to be used for educational use only and could not be sold for commercial uses. And now the Finns found themselves with the government breathing down their necks,
Right.
saying the sale was void, demanding the airplane back along with an additional
Hey.
$198,000. But see, the Finn twins just really didn't want to give it back.
No.
You know, not after having bought the plane.
I
with
just
all the
found
red
it.
tape,
It's mine.
Nor pay the fines for doing so.
It's
So
mine.
they did the only thing that seemed reasonable at the time. Namely, they stole it back from the company leasing the plane, flying it back to the school district. The plane was then seized by a marshal sent by the U.S. Attorney's Office without a warrant. In defiance, the twins stole their plane again and flew it out to Nevada to hide it in an abandoned airport in the middle of
What?
the desert. Fired up by their
No
brilliant
way.
plan, George appeared
That's
in court
why-
asking
they
the
stole it
federal government to
3
drop the
times.
case. When the judge asked him which Finn
Fuck
he
it, maybe
was,
4.
he didn't answer. So he was arrested for contempt, but let go soon after. Then, the twins played a little game with the FBI. Charles had stayed with the plane in Nevada, and when FBI agents showed up, they didn't have an arrest warrant with them and had to go back to Los Angeles. When they came back with an arrest warrant for Charles, George, who had swapped
plane
clothes with
is
his
gone.
twin, went with the agents, only to reveal they had the wrong guy. This plan ended up with the FBI holding George in jail illegally, though. Once the
They're
federal
straight
government
trolling.
finally had the twins in court, they encountered an issue. Witnesses
Damn.
couldn't tell
Yeah,
the
that's
two apart.
broken.
So despite having the culprits in custody, a grand
Damn.
jury decided to
No, the twins kind of go hard. Like, man, I said that and I instantly thought of the Island Boys.
against prosecution because they couldn't prove who had actually
I'm dead.
committed the crime. The
I am dead.
twins then proceeded
Bro.
to immediately
But like, besides the Island Boys, I feel like twins have historically, in like limelight positions, like, have been so OP. Like Zack and Cody, brother, they straight killed Big Daddy, Zack and Cody. Pretty much anything they were doing as kids, like they would literally just switch back and forth, and they're killing. Like that's just so broken, yo.
blow their new lease on
That's
life
so
by getting
bro. And then you can go to school. Yo, I'm so bad at this test. Can you, like,
themselves
bro? I just remembered. I gotta talk to this girl.
arrested once more. This time,
Come on,
the two
champ.
tried to
Like,
enact a
gee.
citizen's arrest
Hey,
on U.S.
fuck, that's
Attorney
broken.
Lachlan Waters for illegally keeping their plane from
Or
them.
like
The
magician.
Finn twins slapped a pair
The
of
Prestige?
handcuffs on the attorney,
Broken.
claiming he had violated their civil rights by withholding their property. Now, with plenty of proof, the duo were charged with assaulting and impeding a federal officer, a crime that they wound up serving 115 days in prison for.
115.
Presumably because this time, no one had to tell the two apart.
Yes, fair. Identity crisis.
In the Berlin case, even with the CCTV footage showing the 3 robbers getting out of a van at a nearby street showed they had a folding ladder, a rope ladder, some extra rope, a screwdriver, crowbar, and several backpacks to carry their haul away, the footage was deemed useless to identify any of the suspects. But the police had DNA
yeah?
evidence, which means they had an airtight case, right? Well, No.
No.
DNA evidence can provide good circumstantial evidence by connecting biological material found at the scene of a crime, like hair, blood, or other bodily fluids, to the DNA of a suspect, assuming that the police actually have it on file for comparison, that is. But while undoubtedly a game changer for criminal investigations, genetic material can be damaged through heat and humidity. DNA found on the scene can also be incomplete, or sometimes a mixture of multiple people's DNA, all of which can lead to false or partial matches, meaning that it should probably be better used to establish someone that is likely to have been involved. Which means that DNA evidence isn't enough to prove guilt. Guilt has to be established through other means. So while finding the glove with DNA evidence might have been a short-lived triumph for the police, the suspects wearing the gloves was the downfall of the investigation, as an expert explained to Berlin's daily newspaper Der Tagesspiegel. Monozygotic twins can only be identified by their fingerprints. That's why this case is unprecedented in Berlin's criminal history. While both Hassan and Abbas O had criminal records for theft and fraud, which put them in the criminal database system where the police had matched their DNA to the glove found at the crime scene, that was all the evidence authorities had. It wasn't like police had found the loot in the brothers' home. In fact, they hadn't found any sign of the stolen goods at all. And much like the Finn brothers, there was nothing else to actually link one or both of the twins to the crime. Sure, police suspected that one of them had taken part in the heist, but
You can do that all you want. Hey, you can do that all you want, buddy.
Charge either of the brothers.
So what?
And certainly couldn't.
You
just
think I was
detain
there?
anyone on a suspicion.
So what?
Let alone hold two suspects without proof that one of
Take
them
it to
had
court,
stolen
man.
millions of euros worth of luxury goods. So, in the end, they had to let the two go. As criminal law expert Hans Ulrich Pafken of Bonn University put it, the law doesn't allow us to detain someone indefinitely just because he is suspected of a crime. I'd rather live in a country where someone guilty is not convicted for lack of conclusive evidence than in a place where innocent people are locked up. And as Hassan's lawyer, Axel Weimann, stated, a glove with DNA evidence is just evidence that someone wore a glove, not that they were actually at the scene of a crime. Weimann argued in court that the glove may have been left there by someone else, possibly to frame his client. And whether or not you believe it, well, it's not like the police had any evidence to the contrary. Even though the evidence may seem too good to be true, it's probably wise to double check with more than just DNA evidence all the same when twins are the suspects. Remember, click our link in the
So they got away.
box to
So they got away. Bro, that twin magic go hard, yo. They pulled the prestige. That was their move, man. That was the one. And we got to witness the prestige. Wow, what a move.